discussed this, and one of the things that we're struggling with at SUNY Plattsburgh is you've got a contingency of women who consider themselves feminist, but don't get the race thing. So they don't understand that when they look at a black man who's been a colleague, who's doing diversity and social justice work for years, whose reputation has had no hits to it whatsoever, and then all of a sudden a white female student makes an allegation against this black professor, and this white female student is not known for the work she's put into the community, doesn't know, isn't known by a lot of the other faculty and staff on the campus, but yet, because she's a white female over a black man, a white female they barely knew over a black man that they know of, they choose to believe the white female.
I will say that any person who wants to have a high profile or to win and don't know how to start will try to target somebody with a vulnerability, vulnerable because of the race, vulnerable because of the gender, vulnerable because of the myth, anything that makes this person who will use a movement think that they will win. If they target a certain person, a certain gender, a certain race, because of all the past history of this person as race, gender, and myth, they will win. So they won't attack somebody who is white, powerful, and having a strong figure, because they know that at the end they might not win. If there is a real story, yes, they will go and defend themselves. If the goal is to have high profile and to have high visibility for a reason, like being famous or feeling themselves important, or I don't know what is the reason can be. There is no good reason for that, but at the end they will attack somebody who is vulnerable on some levels.
See, that's interesting because you referred to the myth twice, and I don't think we've explained that. So just a condensed version to frame that tighter. The myth of the black rapist is a concept by scholar, feminist, activist, Dr. Angela Davis, from her book Women, Race, and Class. And basically what she's talking about in the myth of the black rapist is referring back to slavery time, when once the so-called Negroes were emancipated, there was fear from white communities all across the United States that there'd be reprisal for the ownership white people, not just men, but people had of black bodies. So there was a level of paranoia that black people would retaliate, and no historical records show any significant retaliation on the parts of black people. But to control that dynamic, white men put in their daughters' and sons' heads, or white people, that they needed to fear the black person, the black man specifically. They started articulating a reality around black sexuality, that's all black people live for, and a reality around black men, hence the myth of the black rapist. So on some level, one of the things that we're talking about when we're talking about the inclusiveness of the feminist movement and the position of Womanist, and the point I was making earlier, at SUNY Plattsburgh, you've got women who are calling themselves feminists, but their feminism does not allow them to see the intersectionality between race and gender. And so they struggle with how they process a black man who teaches a romance class, has conversations about sexuality and gender, and basically on some level, in terms of competition, the American way steps into their arena to have these conversations. I've had many battles on the campus with women who don't think I should be teaching a romance, sex, love, and marriage class that I've designed, because as a man, I'm not supposed to be adept at doing that.
Okay, but you know, what I think about that is that you build this class, and you build it over years, and you build it yourself, and then with the help of women, because it's a class that the theme of the class is to speak about both genders. So both genders know what they need for themselves, and knowing how you were teaching it, being with you for years, I know that you took all good things to add to it from women and from men, because love or sex or marriage can be between a man or a woman, a man and a man, or a man or a woman and a woman.
Well, we also brought in transgender, so it wasn't just two genders.
Yeah, any of them, but you need the perspective of all these persons, and you did it. So, just to say that, again, it brings us back to the fact that some women have, because of the inheritance of years and centuries and thousands of years of war between man and woman, we are always fighting with this card. We are always trying to say that, okay, this is a duty of a man, this is a duty of a woman, a man can do that, a woman can't do that. What we are doing is perpetuating, baby.
Sorry.
Perpetuating. What we are doing is perpetuating a war